The soil spoke back. They came with ink and carried law, with words that twisted what we saw. A gift, they said, a deal, a name, but under parchment burned a flame. We signed with faith, or not at all, yet still fences rose like walls. Forests cleared and rivers bent, the land was sold but never sent. We walked the fields our tupuna knew now's hold. This space is not for you. With every tree that they cut down, we felt our gods pulled underground. So we stood tall, and some stood fast, with voice and fire that would not pass, not out of hate, nor thirst for war, but to remind them of the call. This land is breath, it is not trade. It was not theirs to map or fade. And when the roots began to shake, the soil itself began to wake. We did not run, we did not bow, we held our ground as we do now. 2 visions, one day. They came with paper, ink, and grace, to speak of peace in a sacred place. A treaty born on coastal breeze, signed with hope beneath the trees. Protection, they said, your land is safe. Your chiefs will rule with rightful place. We heard their words in native tongue, but what was lost had just begun. 2 visions stood beneath one sky, one truth and one in lie. We signed with mana, heart, and trust, but words can twist and time can rust. They saw control, we saw a pact. They brought the crown, and we had the flags. The ink still bled across our land, carved in deeds, not in sand. So now we walk with eyes made clear, still holding fast to what is near. For though the day split sky and sea, we are the roots, we are the tree. When the guns replied, they came for more than trade or peace. They came to carve, divide and lease. The words once signed were now denied, and so land, it cried and cried. We stood with taiaha in hand, not just to fight, but to withstand. Our power were built, our plans were laid, for every inch they tried to raid. The muskets fired, the cannons roared, but still we held what they ignored. The rivers ran with stories deep of warriors lost and gods who weep. We fought with rage, we fought with grace, with sharpened mind and painted face, not for gold or crown or pride, but for the hills where our tupuna died. They called it war, we called it wrong, a fight that had been brewing long. For every field they claimed with force, the land remembered and held its course. Now echoes ring where battles bled, the scars still live, through blood has fled. But know the truth, through all denied, we never bowed when the guns replied. When the lands were taken, they came not now with fire or fight, but with seal, a pen and right. The wars had paused, the guns were still, but theft can hide behind goodwill. Whole valleys vanished overnight, signed away and out of sight. Some lands were seized for those who we were, not what we did, it wasn't fair. They called it law, we called it loss, a quiet war beneath the gloss. No battle cries, just broken ground and power, where no more feet were found. Whenua passed from hand to hand, while we left with shifting sand. The rivers spoke, the forests cried, and still we stood through and pushed aside. Yet seeds were planted in our pain, and songs survived like gentle rain. For land may fall beneath the crown, but mana never settles down. The quiet years, they silent songs in native tongue, declared our stories all or wrong. The schools restrict, the lessons clear. Forget your ways, you're now from here. They took our land, then took our voice, left little room for will or choice. But deep inside, a spark remained, a fire low, but still unchained. The wharenui stood in shade, while elders whispered what was made. Names were changed, titles stripped, yet moko lines could not be clipped. No haka roared upon the stage, no waiata was sung with age. But still within the flaxen stone, our breath, our pride, remained our own. The rivers knew, the mountains kept, the ancestors watched while children slept, and through those years were unveiled in grey, the sun was never far away. The voice returned, at first a murmur in the night, a flicker low, then full of light. The kuia spoke, the kaumātua stood, the younger voices understood. They marched with feet across the street, where treaties slept beneath dialects, with signs held high and tears below. They chanted, all our tupuna know. Return the land, they cried with flame. Speak our words, restore our name. From Bastion Point to Parliament, the silent years were now well spent. They planted kōrero in schools, broke down the colonizers' rules. Revival rose like flax in spring. Our reo flew with feather wings. No longer quiet, no longer bowed, we stood as one and stood out loud. With haka strong and banners wide, the voices returned, we did not hide.